The Syrian Arab Armed Forces continue operations in Aleppo and its countryside against terrorists. And the Syrian Minister of Information asserts that there are clues and intelligence evidence showing that there is a large plot against Syria. And in Turkey, 9 security forces and 20 PKK members killed in Beit Shabab. Good afternoon, this is news in English. Minister of Information Omran al-Zobi asserted that events in Syria are no secret and that there is a big plot against the country, considering this a fact and not a political theory in light of realistic intelligence clues and evidence showing that something was being prepared and plotted against the country.
In an open meeting with the reporters and representatives of news agencies and the mass media working in Damascus, the minister asserted his call to the Syrian opposition to appear on the Syrian mass media. Anybody who wants his voice to be heard can do that via political dialogue. This call is directed to the national opposition, which rejects foreign intervention and the use of weapons and attacks on the army and the citizens. Nobody has the right to impose his will and wishes on the people. The minister added that some TV channels involved in the instigation of bloodshed in Syria have prior knowledge of crimes before they are committed. This proves criminal involvement. Syria is facing Wahhabi terrorist thought and extremist culture under different images and names. He said that Syria viewed Egypt as a national model, but unfortunately the Mubarak regime was replaced by another regime, not different from it except in shape. What has the new regime done against the Camp David agreement and the opening of crossing points with Gaza?
The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov announced that imposing anything on the Syrians from the outside concerning the future of their country would be fruitless. A solution imposed from the outside would never last, according to him. Mr. Lavrov said that he would discuss the Syrian question with his American counterpart Hillary Clinton during their meeting in the Organization of Economic Cooperation of the Countries of Asia and the Pacific, held in Vladivostok. He added that both Russia and America want Syria to have a democratic multiple system built by the Syrians themselves, and that all countries should respect Syria's sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity. An explosion took place in a car in Al-Wahda neighborhood in Jaramana, Damascus today, injuring several women and children. The blast occurred when an armed terrorist group detonated an explosive device stuck to a car which was parked in the street. Syrian Arab Army continues their operations against the armed terrorist groups in various areas of Aleppo and its countryside. They destroyed a number of vehicles supplied with machine guns and killed the terrorists at the northern entrance to the city. While they were trying to enter the city, they also detained 2 terrorists who were trying to kidnap a child in the Mogambo area in Aleppo. They also found lists and documents containing the names of terrorist groups, the places of their gatherings, considerable amounts of various weapons, RPGs, and different missiles. They also found communication equipment in an apartment used by the terrorists in Saif al-Dawla quarter in Aleppo. They also clashed with terrorists to the south of Mizar Street in Saif al-Dawla, killing and wounding several of them. The National Information Council denounced the terrorist attacks on the national Syrian mass media outlets of both public and private sectors. The last such attack was carried out against Al-Bayda private broadcasting station. The Council considered this part of the savage foreign war waged on Syria in order to make room for false and fabricated reports and to silence the voice of the Syrian media. However, this media war would never prevent the Syrian press from continuing to play its pioneering role in defense of Syria and in presenting the truth and reality to the public. Al-Bayda station is in Homs and was licensed since 2006. The Syrian Consultative Council of Studies and Human Rights called upon the UN Secretary General and the newly appointed international envoy to Syria, Al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi, to send a clear message to supporters of terrorism to stop harming the Syrian people and to take the necessary measures against the terrorists. The Council said that as the peace-loving states in the world met and presented a peaceful solution via dialogue, some states insisted on remaining hostile to Syria and its people. These included the Turkish government, which wants to be involved deeper and deeper in the bloodshed through embracing the mercenary terrorists and supplying them with all means of murder and crimes. The British paper The Mail on Sunday revealed the existence of nearly 100 British fighters of extremist radical trends, including people of Pakistani origins. Those fighters and leading armed terrorist groups operating in Syria, according to the paper. The fighters included a doctor from the London hospital who previously took part in kidnapping the British journalist John Cantle and his Dutch colleague Jeroen Olmens. The Mail asserted that the British Foreign Security Body was aware of the existence of these extremists who carry British nationalities. They receive training and the Western governments help them to infiltrate the country. The Saudi and Khalifa families continue to confront the revolts in Bahrain and Hijaz with death and oppression. The people of the two countries assert that the terrorism of the Wahhabi dynasties would never shake the people's struggle to gain their freedom and to get rid of the totalitarian rule of these two families who insist on living in medieval ages.
The campaign of suppression waged by Al-Khalifa regime in Bahrain continued with the support of the Saudi forces of occupation, using bullets to disrupt demonstrations in the streets. Many demonstrators were wounded with the bullets of Al-Khalifa and Al-Saud brigades. This was accompanied by storming several areas with tear gas bombs fired intensively against housing quarters and passing people. This led to more demonstrations, particularly near the international airport in Al-Deir, in addition to a popular sit-in in solidarity with the detained people. Another sit-in by the Bahraini opposition was staged to the west of the capital, Al-Manama. In Najd and Al-Hijaz, the popular movement against the Wahhabi role of Al-Saud continued in spite of the information blackout in many cities and villages in the eastern region. There are also campaigns of detention in various parts of the country, in addition to restricting the movement of young people. In Najd, the trial of the prominent human rights activist Muhammad Fahd al-Qahtani and a number of his colleagues began yesterday. They are accused of establishing an organization to defend civil and political rights. If al-Qahtani is convicted, he will be imprisoned for 5 years. Another activist named Abdullah al-Hamid is also being tried.
In Jordan, hundreds of Jordanians staged a sit-in in front of the Prime Minister's headquarters in the capital Amman last Saturday, protesting the government's policies, particularly raising the prices of fuel and gas. The protesters chanted slogans against the King of Jordan, denouncing the policies of his government, led by Prime Minister Faiz al-Tarawna, calling for his resignation and expressing rejection of the decision to raise oil prices. It's worth mentioning that on Saturday, the Jordanian government has decided to raise oil prices by 10%, which is the third raise this year. Turkish official and local sources said that 9 members of the Turkish security forces were killed, in addition to 20 of the Kurdistan Labour Party known as the PKK. Clashes and fierce fighting took place southeast of the country. In turn, local sources said that the clashes in the town of Beit Shabab resulted in the killing of about 20 people from the PKK. And finally, a meeting yesterday was held at the Ministry of Education to discuss preparations for the start of the new academic year, especially with regard to rehabilitating damaged schools, training teachers on the new curricula, and the distribution of books. Member of the regional leadership of the Ba'ath Arab Socialist Party, Yasser Houriya, said that there are many challenges at the beginning of the new academic year. In turn, the Minister of Education, Dr. Hazwan Elwaz, affirmed that the necessity is there to overcome all difficulties that hinder the educational process. With this, we reach the end of our news for today. For more details, visit our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. But for now, stay with us. After the break, Fanny has the latest in economy.